Greetings, hello, and welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. I'm ImperialJedi. This is episode number 2 in the series, and not only a fun one, but a very ambitious episode on the docket for today. What I'm hoping to do is unlock 2 more milestones, so we need to get motoring with the population here. If we can get to about 5,000 or so people, we will unlock the ability to do some dedicated bike lanes, and we also unlock the ability to do some dedicated bus lanes. So I know you might be thinking it's a bit early to be thinking about public transit, but, you know, our city, we're going for the green field, green vibes, right? I'm going to use this road here as my example. So, this one stretch of road, at the top of the hill, we've got our, high school, soon-to-be community center, little shopping area, and we've got, at the bottom of the hill, a whole bunch of people living here, right? So, always going to be tons of traffic on this hill. And, of course, there's a building being built right in front of our view. Let's back up a little bit here. Yeah, so this stretch right here, right? A lot of people live here. They're obviously going to use this to get to work and whatnot. So, what I would normally do when this starts getting a bit busy is I would widen this, make it into an avenue, put out some traffic lights, and just get ready for more traffic in that sense. But, I mean, we're trying to be making a green city here, right? It's got to be pedestrian-friendly, public transportation-focused. Like, I'm not saying there's a war on the car or anything like that, but we're not going to be making this a, you know, car-centric city. So instead, what I want to try doing is putting a dedicated bike lane up and down here, and I want to replace a lot of this vehicle traffic, hopefully with 1 or 2 bus routes. So that's kind of the game plan for today. And in order for us to do that, we really got to expand on the city. Just not enough people living here. And last thing I'm going to say too, I've actually had a couple of discoveries. So I had some of you comment that when the greenhouses come in, kind of like this one right here, perfect example, there's not really a lot of green aspect to it, right? There's just kind of that modern, sleek look to them. A lot of people were hoping for things like the green roof and whatnot, but in order to get these, you actually have to level the buildings up. So you can see this one right here, it hasn't quite made it to level 2 yet. It looks like level 2 is the threshold for when the green roofs appear. I imagine things like solar panels and whatnot will probably be appearing at later levels, but just a little bit of added extra challenge, so that's kind of cool. And in order to get the levels up, you've got to do things like good services, you've got to educate your Sims, get the land value higher, so you can put down parks and stuff. So just a little bit more challenge. It's not going to be super green right off the get-go. And the other thing too, just speaking of the green stuff, is you actually don't need to make 2 different districts. You can specialize both commercial and residential in the same one here. You can see right there to add that. And I figured that out in the stream too, and a few of you have already pointed that out in the comment section, so appreciate that, guys. Alright, well, let's leave the speed on. I'm actually going to put it over to 3 speed, just to help with our population here. And I'd like to just tack on some new neighborhoods up here. I know we have a lot of demand right now for industry, but let's just put down some homes, and then we'll provide some jobs for these people, and hopefully get close to another milestone. And I was thinking we could do the same kind of thing where we had the green city, or the green theme, just be up in this little part, and then we'll be met with some just regular housing, just to help the budget along here. And then also going with that same kind of theme, let's try and zone on the inner road networks here. I'm going to turn off the road guidelines, help me out here. A blessing and a curse, the road guidelines. They're helpful when you're doing this kind of stuff, right? But a little in the way sometimes otherwise. There we go. Trying to get those to line up. Okay. Sometimes you feel like you gotta be a little bit of a MacGyver sometimes when you're doing this. Okay, that's what I'm after. Perfect. And that works for me too. Okay. Just a little way in for the people over here. And I'll turn these into stop signs. And we'll probably have a corresponding little neighborhood just on the other side of the street as well. And that just looks a little bit off. Almost. There we go, that's better. Much, much, much better. Great. Let's go through our junction control, maybe just take out a few of these lights here. And it's still my intention just to come through here and maybe do a little bit of this off camera. I didn't really get to it between last episode and this one. There we go. Priority for some inbound traffic, so they don't have the stop sign going in. Awesome. So I'm going to zone it. I'm not necessarily expecting people to move in, though, right away. And I think we'll worry about crafting that a little bit once we switch over and get some jobs down. So let's leave this open right here. Just because I want to, you know, turn this... Actually, I'm going to unzone that. We'll turn this into a little turnaround point for either trams or buses, and we can try and tie in a park. So I do want that community center kind of vibe to go in with the high school area here. A little bit of shopping. And we're going to have to start setting up some transit hubs around the city. We'll have a main central one, and we'll go over a lot of transit stuff just kind of when we work on that. Oh, excellent. First of our new milestones. So this one, if you have snowfall, you get the trams. We now have access to the buses. So even if we don't make it to 5,000 by the end of the episode, we can at least put in a bus route. Get some new unique buildings, some new policies, more roads. Awesome. So not all the roads I was after. And in terms of services, we're going to have to place down some death care now. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, and then more stuff to dealing with natural disasters. Okay. So, death care. Let's go ahead and plop a cemetery down. Why don't we put it right here before... No. Oh, that actually lines up nicely. A little bit of a slope here, but I think I'm going to keep it. Of course, these buildings coming in doesn't really help the cause. Before anyone settles in here, you can still move it around. Otherwise, you're going to have to get a crematorium. Is the hill right here going to be... Yeah, you know what? Just because of the whole fencing and stuff around the asset, let's put that on nice flat level ground. There. Works for me. Yeah, nice and flat. Kind of cool at the hillside. A bit out of town, which means we're gonna have to run over some power lines. So we'll just do a little temporary bridge here. And I think our friends are gonna need some over here as well. And just another fire station. Oh, did I not? Oh, I thought I did move that. Weird. Did I not relocate that? Strange. I thought I... Huh. Well, either way. Okay, that's fine. Let's put it back over to 3-speed right now. And let's head over to the industrial part of the town. Just provide some more jobs here. And I did want to have the same kind of principle idea where we have a small spot set up just so the buses and transit vehicles can start turning around over here. So why don't we design just a very, very, very small little area using some one-way streets just to accommodate some transit vehicles. So why don't we hypothetically come up through here. So our buses would, you know, come this way. We can even make it into a bus lane road right here, just to get the extra feel for the transit. And why don't we make this little stretch here? And the reason why I'm using the 6-lane road instead of the 4-lane Avenue road is I'd like to just get the extra lanes through here. And something you can do as well is just use the 6-lane roads for like really short little stretches, because you'll end up with dedicated turning lanes. Like here's not really the best example because you got traffic going in, right? But if I were to downgrade this, actually let me use a better spot to show this off. 1 second, guys. So like right here, for example, If I were to make this into a 6-lane road, just for this little stretch right here, and then if I were to downgrade this one, this works better for my example. See what we end up with? We have a dedicated turning lane. So if you find that like traffic's always getting bonkers in this one particular intersection, you know, for example's sake, we could have done a configuration like this, just open up one extra lane just to help vehicle traffic turning. Or like, you know, flip it around, vice versa, right? We will never get use out of this lane here, and there's evidence of that with the lane arrows. So we've got 3 on this side, 2 on that side. The same thing would happen even if we upgraded this. See how it just shows the 1 and the 2? And then the reason for that is we've only got 1 lane on this side and only 1 lane on that side. So for us to get use out of all of the lanes in the road here, we either have to go like this, or there has to be a 2nd lane on one of these sides. So don't be afraid to mix this kind of stuff up when you're doing your road planning. I will point out though, just for advanced type thing, this configuration looks like it will allow 2 lanes to be making right-hand turns, but because of this setup, we're only going to get 1 lane in use. So I see like tons and tons and tons of posts and always questions about how to get traffic to use all the lanes. You just got to be just aware of what, you know, what's going on, like who's turning into where, how their lanes break down. So see if I do that, now we're going to get 2 lanes worth of use out of this. So sometimes a little bit of investigation is in order. Okay, nice little fun segue. And so what I would like is just an ability for the buses to come in, maybe make a quick little pickup for some passengers, and then just, you know, head on back into where their original destination was. And we can even have, say, a way down and over, just to go back like that. Oh, I know we can do it. There we go. And then this is something we could decorate later on with some, you know, like plazas, some shopping, just kind of make it feel a little less industrial, even though we're in the industrial part of town right now. That's kind of cool, right? So just little simple spots. We planned ahead of time, so we don't have to worry about, you know, disrupting buildings or anything when we're trying to get transit in through here. I think we got a smart layout. 2-way traffic through parts of it. Little bus dedicated entry right here. Should be kind of fun. All right. I like that. Let's provide some jobs, and let's go back on to our population grind. Another technique you can use to cut back on traffic using these as a complete throughway and forcing more traffic onto your wider avenues is to have just little stretches that are one-ways. So you can still zone off them, you're still getting pretty good use out of the zoning squares, but you're forcing traffic to have to stick to, yeah, a different plan here. We do a lot of that in Toronto, especially in our, like where I live, especially in the residential neighborhoods. It's just kind of a web of one-way streets. So unless you live there and really know the layout, you'll end up getting lost. It adds a lot more time to your trip, so you don't really bother. So it's kind of a good tactic if you want local traffic only in your residential neighborhoods. And then even though we're not going to connect with that one, let's line up with it, just for that nice little extra bit of symmetry. And I'm thinking that this could eventually maybe be upgraded into like an office park, because we're going to have very minimal industry, I think, in this part of the city. Maybe not even any at all. I think most of our industry is probably going to be down in the coastal harbor area. Okay, so we need some more water for our poor friends over here. We've been neglecting them this entire time. And we also, it looks like, need to buy another power plant. Now, really, we have not unlocked too much green stuff yet. I know a lot of you are already saying to be using more green things, but it's a little bit expensive. We will get there eventually, I promise, in the long run. I've also had a few requests, too, to use one of these guys here, the Eco Water Outlet. The only reason why I haven't used it yet is it's about a little bit more expensive than the one we currently have, and it requires 2 of them to have the same output capacity as that. And it only just does a minimal treatment of the water, so you're still getting some pollutants coming out. I will drop one so we can see it though. But it's a little bit expensive to be using these just right away. But the long-term plan, of course, for the water is to have a nice green impact, so no pollution. Alright, over to our zoning of here, and let's expand. Actually, let's start a new district over here. Yeah, I was gonna say we'll do some crazy expansion. That's too much. And we had quite a few requests for some little hillside kind of like suburb community thing. I think that's an awesome idea. I would love to try and get something up through here. So when we buy this next tile over, we can definitely have a nice little community up there. Great suggestions, guys, on that one. I was thinking of maybe doing just like a tiny roundabout. I really like the feel of them. Sometimes when you're freehanding the roundabouts, you may have to draw them just a few times to get the spacing just right. And just a friendly little fun tidbit. If you're going to be adding a whole bunch of lanes onto your roundabout and you want to avoid that from happening, what you can do is just draw some inner roads to hold your roundabout. So just put these in, and then that holds the shape. And so no matter how many more anchor points you put on, it won't warp the roundabout. Okay. So let's start picking up the pace just a little bit here, because we know what we're after. And population of file at 5,000. That's ambitious. I don't necessarily think we're honestly going to be getting it this episode, which is not the end of the world at all. But guys, see our long-term plan, right? Okay. It would have been really cool if that had lined up. Pushing my luck here. Let's get this line up next. A little steep, so why don't we just get rid of that? That's also a little steep, so why don't we get rid of that? Okay. Redo that as one longer connection. There we go. And there we go. Nope, hill won't allow that, but I think we can do this. Now let's zone it, and let's see if we can get some people living in here. Get rid of these power lines, you know? And this is the area that we're going to be making into a little green zone. It's not zone in this roundabout. Great. I think, though, I'm going to zone around this one, just like in the other neighborhood we did, because it's just a small little, like, local traffic only type kind of vibe. All right. And I think this street leaving will most likely be kind of like a roundabout, or an avenue going into the roundabout. So what we'll have is maybe even a small little 6-lane stretch here, maybe even some bike lanes or something going like that, following the river, and then we can have it maybe make it a Y shape, break off into these two, so we get some access over to here, a little bit more access going into there. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so let's get the specialization in, and let's start putting down some more services here. So, residential and commercial, both in the same district. Awesome. We'll drop down some parks as well, just to help with the land value, get the buildings moving up in the levels. And the symmetry, just off by 1 square. Well, that's a little frustrating. Well, you know what? Why don't we put the park on a different street then? And kind of what I was saying earlier, don't be afraid to use some one-ways, especially in your residential neighborhoods. There we go. Oh, and then you know what? Something that I totally meant to do right when we had started the episode, I totally forgot, is I was looking to add in some more pedestrian crossings. And I'll kind of show you what I mean. Oh, too close. Okay. Sometimes, like if I had 1 extra square, I'd be able to connect that part to that, but that's okay. Yeah, so what I'd like to do just over here, and we'll be doing this often, is, so like if you're a resident and you live right here, and you want to say go to the clinic or something, you've got to walk all the way down, all the way around, or most likely drive. But if we were to do something like this, we could like completely cut back on the commute time. Let's destroy that tree instead of that house. Look at that. And we'll put our connection right near the crosswalk so people get the most use out of it. Look at there, it's our first little person using it. Excellent! And when it comes to like things like the highway and stuff, or maybe these kind of busier stretches, maybe we can have some bridges go right over top instead of getting people to use these connections here. And goodness gracious me, oh boy. We do have fire coverage nearby. Okay. Now with the trees, you actually need to be putting down helicopters to deal with those. And those you get through the Natural Disasters DLC. If you don't have them, unfortunately the tree fires just kind of start and spread and burn crazy out of control. So, a little bit of an unfortunate thing. But, because we don't have any helicopters, nothing we can do, so we'll just admire the fire. And, you know, the DLCs, put them on your wish list if you're on Steam. Check out the Paradox store often, because they do go on sale more often than not. Sometimes the sale can be as much as 75% off on a DLC, so I highly recommend just, yeah, picking up 2 or 3 even for the price of 1 sometimes. And a lot of people ask me constantly, like, what are your favorite DLCs? In no particular order, my top 3 are Mass Transit, After Dark, and the Green Cities expansion. I would say that maybe Mass Transit is just slightly in the lead, and then I'm a toss-up between After Dark and Green Cities for my second place. But some of the other ones are pretty fun too. I'll be using a lot of just little obscure DLC things and assets you get with some of those. And I'll talk about them too, and I'll link you guys some areas, or I'll link you to the Steam pages if you guys can't find them. Okay. Healthcare, you can probably use another clinic over here. We're pretty far from the other one. Nice little in-town clinic. The next big thing we'll probably buy will be a hospital. And I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't think we're going to get to 5,000 before the end of the episode. So let's just go ahead now and put in the first of our new bus routes. And this is pretty neat so far. I like this a lot. Especially with this little central shopping thing. Competition. Very fierce, right? Same store. What if we knock down one of these? See if we can get a different asset coming in next door. And I'll probably do the same thing in between episodes again, where I just put a whole bunch of trees down. Hopefully deal with this forest fire. Okay, so bus routes. What I want is just a little turnaround for over here. We talked about doing that, so let's just really quickly place that. So this can be two-way traffic. Just want that to be a little bit more in line. No, not gonna work. It's going to be like that. Unless I freehand, perhaps? I still think it's going to prompt the node. So just a quick little turnaround point here for the buses. And then once the city gets a lot larger, that's when we'll start doing bigger forms of transit, so like trams, like that kind of stuff. The shopping here. Okay, we've got two options. We can put down the biofuel bus depot, or we can put down the regular one. Maintenance costs and stuff is a lot higher on the biofuel buses, but those ones are so much quieter. So let's take the eco-green greenway out of this. So there's our bio bus bay right here. There's a little refuel station. That's cool. And let's put in some routes. Oh my goodness, this fire's still going. So I think we can use maybe down here as a turnaround, and then just go right up over there, and then maybe make a second one that goes in through and down here. So let's start us off. It depends on what type of bus route you're aiming for, but I wouldn't necessarily say you want your stops too close together, and unless it's an express route, you don't want them to be too far apart. So I'd say maybe one every 2 or 3 blocks, just kind of in real life. Like, how far do you really want to walk in between stops? And if you do have your stops way too close together, it's just not an efficient bus route. Like, your bus doesn't really get to speed. You're always stop and pick up and drop off passengers. Okay, let's do that. And I would prefer, just for our setup here, to have the stops near the intersections, because then you can get a little bit more use. If it's mid-block, people have to walk, halfway up the block to turn around the corner type thing. So maybe just 1 or 2 stops on the way. And we'll stop just on the inside right there. Perfect. Yep, I like that a lot. So here's your pickup drop off. We'll head back down the street here. So just a little simple route. But this is instead of upgrading this road into an avenue. This is us trying to just, save, take a preemptive attack on traffic here. Okay, great. So now that the route is complete, the buses will spawn on their own. Here are the new bio buses. Awesome. Very, very nice. And if you want, you can click over on your transport tab, and we can click on the route, and you can change the color if you want. So you can go for like a uniform fleet color, you can go for maybe your express routes or one particular color, your in-town ones or another, just whatever you want, right? So I think maybe for simplicity, let's just go for nice red. Nice bright shiny red. So buses change. There we go, fantastic. Now let's set up the second bus route so we can get some people getting to work. And we can do this a couple ways. So we can have a little express route here. So let's try and get a new line in. So we angle our mouse just right, we can get the new line. So that means that people will walk to any one of these stops. They'll be brought all the way down to here. Or we could do it probably from up here. This would make more sense. So, same idea. Any number one of these stops will bring you to here. You pick up the bus. We're going to be having an express route. And we don't have like a metro or anything in place, right? So this is just a little express route for the bus. So you get dropped off here. And this bus goes all the way back. So it's just a pick up, drop off, one stop. Complete that line. Bada bing, bada boom. This one, if we wanted to make this for extra colors, say that one we can make that nice. Actually, no, let's go opposite of the spectrum. Make that nice dark color, nice black. So there, the bus is nice and sleek coming out. Perfect, our express route. And then now we can make a little route for here, because unless you work right next to the bus stop, it's still a long distance to travel. So why don't we put down a little looping route through here? And I'm actually going to do it this way. Great. Now, we can have one route that falls back on itself, or we can have two routes. Actually, I'll do the other way here. Okay, great. So we have one line, that's totally fine. But with this scenario, we don't have anything going in the opposite direction. So we're going to want the other side of the street, the other direction, serviced as well. So we're going to put down a second route that runs more or less in the same direction. So we have some one-way, so we can't quite do the same path. And then here, this is just a one-way network setup, right? So we're going to have to change either one of the streets around or come in at a bit of a different approach. So we need to do that even, right? So not too far to walk. Maybe that's a bit easier if we drag those over. There we go, cool. So a little route over here and a little express route. Awesome, very fun. And then that way, now that we're like, you know, making the colors different for the express and the little regional ones, like say you're a sim or whatever in the game, right? It's a little bit easier for you to find what bus you're after. Put on 3-speed, let that sort itself out. Population, not too bad. Definitely not the 5,000, but not too bad. All right, I think that's it for today, guys. Nice little segue into public transit. I think traffic looks a little bit better on this street. I think it's a bit too early to tell, just all in all. But I mean, really though, like all these people right here, they would be either driving, I mean, maybe walking, but most likely they'd be in their car. So already we're making a really big reduction, I think, to traffic. This is cool. Onwards and upwards. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts. Are we in the right direction here? Are you happy with our progress? Oh man, yeah, look at this. This is great. Definitely great. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Drop me a comment, let me know what you think. Forest fires out, that's good news. New neighborhoods, definitely coming in nicely. So I'll jazz this up with some trees and stuff. And next episode, we'll just continue expanding, trying to get to that 5,000 population milestone. And then we'll start introducing a little bit of a bike network in through what we already have. And yeah, just expanding into the city. Alright guys, all the best, happy building, see you in the next one. Look forward to reading the comments, and have yourselves a great day. Thanks for being here.